Bull penis. The long and short of it is that bull penis is featured on menus in China and is purported to have aphrodisiacal powers. Chicken's feet. Considering how many places it's eaten, perhaps it's unfair to deem this weird. Still, it's made mostly of skin, making it a little gelatinous in texture. They're pretty tasty when flavored properly, but the bones get on your nerves after a while. Casu marzu. How do you improve a nice sheep milk pecorino? In Sardinia, you start by cracking open the cheese and letting a whole lot of flies settle in. As they eat, poop and lay their eggs in the cheese, the flies impart unique flavors that are only improved by the texture of the wriggling maggots after they hatch. Century egg. Enjoyed in China for hundreds of years, the century egg is a duck, chicken or quail egg steeped for up to 5 months in a special broth that includes black tea, salt, lime and wood ash. Haggis. A sheep's heart, liver and lungs minced and mixed with onions, oatmeal, suet and seasoned with salt and spices cooked inside the animal's stomach. Tripe. The stomach lining of various animals with a sponge-like honeycomb texture. Looks like some weird kind of sea plant life and has a peculiar and not entirely appetizing rubbery texture. Served up with various sauces to add flavor or simply with an accompaniment like onions. Tuna eyeballs. Although it sounds nasty, apparently it's rather tame, tasting pretty similar to squid or octopus. Sanachi. Another one that ranks high on the cruelty scale, this dish involves hacking the tentacles off a baby octopus and serving them up to the customer, still wriggling. Kai. In Peru, people have been raising and eating guinea pigs, called kai, for about 5,000 years. They are usually served fried or roasted whole. Bat soup. Soup made with fruit bats was so popular in Guam that the bats were nearly eaten into extinction. When the bats are cooked, they produce a strong, urine-like smell, but their meat is allegedly sweet and tastes somewhat like chicken. Haggis. Haggis, a much-loved pudding in Scotland, is made of minced sheep's liver, lungs and heart, combined with onions, fat and oatmeal. Black pudding, blood sausage. Congealed blood cooked up with various natural flavorings, thickening agents like suet and breadcrumbs and stuffed into a sausage skin. Drunken shrimp. Shrimp served both living and drunk, stunned in a strong liquor called baijiu. Diners usually bite the head off first before consuming the body. Wasp crackers. It's a biscuit filled with wasps. Think chocolate chip cookies, only the insects replace the chalky chips. Apparently the digger wasp, which the biscuit contains, has a pretty mean sting. Jello salad. So-called salads made of gelatin with bits of fruits and vegetables suspended inside became hugely popular in the United States during the 1920s and 1930s. They continued to appear on American tables through the 1970s, when their popularity began to wane. Kale patch. Kale patch, or sheep's head soup, is a traditional slow-cooked dish in Iran, and is made with the sheep's hooves as well as its head. Shark fin soup. Although considered a delicacy in this part of the world, the cruel and barbaric way in which the fins are harvested means no one should have any business supporting the industry. The fact their fins are hacked from the sharks' still living bodies before they are thrown back into the sea means it's definitely not worth it for the dried and congealed strands in some chicken broth. Spam. The famous mystery meat. It's said that spam is made from chopped pork shoulder meat, ham and potato starch, but who knows what ends up in there. Kiviak. To make kiviak, a traditional Inuit food from Greenland, up to 500 small birds called auks are stitched up inside a sealskin and stored under a rock for 3 months. Once the birds are done fermenting, they are eaten for special occasions. Cash. A pretty gruesome little dish made up of stewed cow's feet and head. It was once a winter comfort food but is now considered a delicacy. Bushmeat. Covering all manner of animals from the African plains, bushmeat includes flesh of wildlife like giraffe, lemurs and even apes. Not only is bushmeat bad for conservation efforts, it's also believed to spread Ebola and may be the part of the reason for the current outbreak. Shirako. Another fancy name for an animal's reproductive organs, shirako is essentially a cod's sperm sac. Apparently soft and creamy to taste, you can have it served up steamed or deep fried. Fried spider. Fried spider is a regional delicacy popular in the Cambodian town of Skuon, prepared by marinating it in MSG, sugar and salt and then frying it in garlic. Apparently it has more meat on it than a grasshopper, but also has brown sludge in the abdomen, which consists of mainly innards, eggs and excrement. Kumis. Kumis, a fermented drink made from mare's milk, is popular among people of the Central Asian steppes. Higher sugar content in mare's milk makes kumis more alcoholic than kefir, another fermented drink made from cow, goat or sheep milk. Kangaroo. Historically the staple meat for indigenous Australians, kangaroo is high in protein and low in fat, making it a pretty healthy choice. It's gamey in flavor and served in multiple ways, from a simple steak to sausages or burgers. Cobra heart. So, they slit the struggling poor creature open right in front of you and place its still beating heart into a shot glass of its own blood. Steak tartare. It's made up of good quality raw ground beef, served with onions, capers, raw egg and seasoned with Worcester sauce and other condiments, usually with rye bread or fries on the side. Escargots à la bourguignonne. Snails cooked in a sauce of white wine, garlic, butter and parsley served in their shells. Said to have a similar consistency to mussels or clams, though it is pretty rubbery. Whale. Despite being denounced by countless detractors on the grounds of wildlife conservation and animal rights, whale meat is still consumed in a large number of countries. The meat is said to contain high amounts of mercury and other toxins, which can cause organs to fail and madness. Hakarl. The rotting carcass of a Greenland or basking Somniosity shark. It's buried underground in a shallow pit and pressed with stones so the poisonous internal fluids that allow it to live in such cold waters can be drained out, making the meat safe to eat. After this it's hung out to dry before being cut into strips and served. Dog. While not widely consumed in Korea these days, dog meat is big money in Vietnam, leading to a massive increase in the stealing of family pets. Mopane worms. A big fat, juicy worm that's said to be full of meat. Although traditionally dried or smoked to preserve, they are usually rehydrated and cooked with tomato or chili sauce to flavor. Cherry blossom meat. Cherry blossom meat is raw horse, served either on its own or as part of sushi. Fugu. This little delicacy has the potential to be deadly if prepared incorrectly. As such, only chefs that have been drilled to perfection are allowed to handle the serving of the pufferfish. Yin yang fish. A dish of extreme cruelty, yin yang fish is a fish that has been deep fried and kept alive. On YouTube a video can be seen of diners prodding at the face and eyes with their chopsticks while they eat to make the fish move, with its mouth and gills opening as it struggles to breathe. Dragon in the flame of desire. The rather elaborate name above can be simplified down to yak's penis. The Golijjuang restaurant in Beijing's most famous dish, it's simply a yak's penis roasted and served in elaborate fashion on a large platter. Cat. Like dog, it's found in parts China and Korea, but unlikely to be found in many mainstream restaurants. Crocodile. Crocodile meat is considered a delicacy in many places around the world, supposedly tasting like a cross between chicken and crab. Witchetty grub. Part of the Australian bushmeat family, this was another staple of indigenous Australians in the desert. These can either be eaten raw, when it tastes like almonds, or lightly cooked, where its skin crisps like roast chicken and its insides take on the look and consistency of scrambled egg. Sago delight. Edible sago grubs are said to be creamy tasting when raw or meaty and like bacon when cooked. Generally seasoned and flavored in the same way as the other Southeast Asian creepy crawly favorite, jing lead, and served alongside. Frog legs. Basically the back end and back legs of a frog, grilled, baked, fried or stewed. With the texture of chicken with a very faint taste of fish, it's one of my favorite kind of meats. Salty licorice. The salty tang of Finnish black licorice, flavored with ammonium chloride, is certainly an acquired taste, but many newcomers to the candy quickly learn to love it. Balut. A developing duck embryo that's boiled alive in its shell. Starfish. Served dry and covered in hard and spiny armor, this isn't a snack you want to bite into. According to online accounts, you want to break of a leg and peel open the skin to get at the green-colored meat inside. Baby mice wine. Found in southern China and in Korea, this alcoholic brew is infused with the bodies of hairless baby mice. Southern fried rattlesnake. A favorite in the southwestern United States, it's said to taste a little like frog's legs. Experts advise boiling the meat off the bones before dipping in egg and covering in seasoned salt mix, flour and breadcrumbs. Surströmming. Baltic Sea herring fermented with just enough salt used to prevent it from rotting. Mainly found tinned in brine these days, when opened it releases such a pungent aroma that it usually needs to be eaten outside. Pickled egg. A hard-boiled egg that been left to go cold and stuck in a jar of vinegar. The sour liquid penetrates right to the heart, meaning the powdery yolk in the center is uncomfortably sour. Esquimalt. Also known as insect caviar, this dish is made of the edible larvae and pupae of ants, harvested from the tequila or mezcal plant. Considered something of a delicacy, it is said to have the consistency of cottage cheese and a buttery, nutty taste. Natto. In Japan, natto, sticky, and a popular breakfast food. Stink bugs. Used to flavor stews or eaten on their own, stink bugs are said to have a crunch to them and taste a little like apple. Prepared by boiling, the bugs release defensive pheromones in a last-ditch attempt to survive, and while it hurts the eyes, it's no more painful than the onion. Rocky Mountain oysters. Despite the name, these aren't actually oysters at all. No, they are bull testicles deep in a batter of flour, pepper and salt. Turtle soup. Made using the meat, skin and innards of the soft-shell turtle in East Asia or the snapping turtle in the United States, this is considered something of a Chinese delicacy. Bird's nest soup. This Asian delicacy is made from the nest of the swiftlet bird, who instead of collecting twigs for its bed, builds it out of its own gummy saliva, which goes hard when exposed to air. Usually the built high up on cliff faces, harvesting them is a dangerous business and many people die each year. Tequila worm. Not actually found in tequila but rather its cheaper cousin, mezcal, it's said that the legendary hallucinogenic properties of the worm are pretty much non-existent. Sheep eyeballs. Pickled sheep eyeballs served floating in juice are sometimes used as a hangover remedy in Mongolia. Shiokara. A dish made of pieces of meat taken from a selection of sea creatures, served in a brown, viscous paste of their own salted and fermented viscera. It's all served raw. Biondegi. Silkworm. Simply boiled or steamed and lightly seasoned. This is popular snack all over Korea and usually sold from street vendors. They taste like wood. Su galu. Made in Sardinia, su galu is a cheese that ferments in the stomach of a slaughtered baby goat, made from the sheep's milk that was its very last meal. Marmite or Vegemite. Made from yeast extract, a byproduct of brewing beer, Marmite or Vegemite is essentially the slurry from the bottom of the barrel that most breweries just throw away. It's a sticky brown paste with a concentrated, salty flavor that's usually spread on toast or eaten with cheese. Jinglead grasshoppers. So, yes, this is a big old grasshopper seasoned with salt, pepper power and chili and fried in a big wok. Tastes a little like hollow popcorn skin, except a little juice squirts out when you bite into it.